are listening to A Scary State, and we are back together. Normal episode, and this week we're talking about North Dakota. So, Lauren?
Yes, Kenzie.
Let's get scary.
It's been so long.
It's been a millennia.
I've missed you so much.
I know, you keep leaving me.
I know, but I don't have any more things now.
Good.
Because I just got back from Amsterdam in Belgium.
Oh, yeah, tell me about the torture place.
Okay, so we went to, it was our last night there. We're like walking back. We're like, we're going to go to bed kind of early because we had to wake up early. We're like, we'll pack all of our stuff up. We'll go get fries. We didn't get fries. We were too tired. But we're like walking back and I see the torture museum and it's like 9:30 at night and it's open till 11. And I was like,
Nice.
do you want to go in? And she's like, yeah. And so we went. It was only like €9. And so they had, let me go through my pictures to tell you what they had.
Please do.
Okay, so we start off with the Iron Maiden.
Okay.
That's the big like kind of casket looking thingy that someone stands in.
Yeah.
And each of the things, they would show the torture device and then have a little description next to it of like what it was.
Sure.
So then we have, I think this is called like Jacob's ladder, Jacob's saddle. This one.
Ouch.
The one where it's like a triangle and the person is sitting on it with like weights on their ankles. Then there's this thing that looks like a pitchfork, like the two-sided pitchfork. So it goes on your chest and under your chin.
Oh.
And it's a way for you to not put your head down, probably for women. Then this one, which is like the bridal, not the bridal thing. It's like the thing where it looks like a mask for your face and there's a place for your eyes and it's like so that you can't talk.
Oh.
The metals, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's like for women who would talk.
Oh. Oh, God.
It's called masks.
I'd be screwed.
So it was like a restriction of free speech. It was if you insulted the royal house or uttered blasphemous words.
Oh, my.
Also, it was for people who would gossip. So women most of the time would have this. And then there was this, which could also be Jacob's something or other. This is like, it looks like a triangle, like a big like pyramid. And you sit on it, on the tip of it.
Ouch.
Yep. And then, of course,
comfy.
there was live burials. So I had to talk about, like, I had to look at that because, you know, we just covered being buried alive. There was like a thing where they burned witches. Well, not witches, women.
Right.
A guillotine.
Nice.
And then they had heads in the basket.
Ew.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. It's just like, I don't know. It's such a morbid fascination. But so we were walking through and like, I thought we'd be the only two in there. There was like another couple in there. And I was like, what are you doing in here at 9:30 at night?
The same thing you are.
I guess so.
You probably are like, what are they doing in here at 9:30 at night?
But it was so annoying because they were just like standing at the entrance, not moving. So I had to like speed read some of them so I could get ahead of them.
Nice.
But it was really interesting. It was like so weird. And the guy at the front it was just a whole thing. He was like odd too.
Well,
but I guess if you work in a torture museum.
I was just going to say,
so,
you kind of have to be.
But yeah, it was very fascinating.
Well, that's good.
And then just now,
a tree fell.
We're recording and a huge ass tree falls in our, like, right across the street, barely misses your car and Joe's car.
Yep. If it had just moved a foot the other way, we would have been screwed.
We would be in a very different mood right now.
It would have been like, we're not recording again.
We do apologize for like the weird October.
Yes.
We had a lot of like Mackenzie had some family stuff going on and then we had some family stuff going on and traveling and just everything was not where it needed to be.
So we are back to our
But we're back.
Yep. And everything from here on out will be normal schedule.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. So yeah.
Yeah.
I saw my cousin run in the Marine Corps Marathon.
Oh. The one in DC.
More so like Arlington and like Crystal City than DC. But yeah.
Okay.
So the night before, a friend of mine, a couple, got engaged.
Fun.
I had already told my dad, do not expect me to be up and in Roslyn at 7:45. That's not going to happen.
Roslyn's like the city.
It's in Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah. So not easy to get to, just in general.
Yeah. Not from where I live.
Right.
And so I looked up the route and I was like, oh, they go right past Pentagon City Mall. I am close to that. I'll start there and park my car in one of the millions of garages that they have. And then cool. So, of course, I'm running a smidge behind.
Shocking.
I was hungover.
Wow, really parallels to today.
Well, you know, you only live once. Of course, dad is being dad and is nudging me. Where are you? I said, I'm on my way. I'm taking the back roads because I figured 395 would not be an option.
Right.
He was like, well, parking is going to be insane. I said, I got it. So I get there and I park and we have each other's location. And I start walking and I'm like, where the fuck is he? I'm like, why is he in the middle of 395? So I call him and I'm like, where are you? And he's like, I'm watching the race. Obviously. He's like, where are you? I was like, trying to walk to you. He was like, oh yeah, just keep going. I said, you are in the middle of the fucking highway. How am I supposed to get to you? I don't even know how to get out there. He's like, okay, I'll come to you. I said, that would be best. We found each other, but he's across the street.
Oh no.
And the side of the street I'm on is obviously not the same as his. And the runners are just meow.
Right.
He's like, come here.
No.
How?
Let me just run with the runners.
So like, you know, when you've done double dutch
Yeah.
and like you doing that swing thing to like find the perfect
Find the way to
moment.
get in. Yeah.
That's what I was doing to try to like find a spot.
You were going to run across all the runners to get over there?
Only when there was a gap.
Oh my God.
I probably screwed somebody up and I'm sorry, but my dad certainly wasn't going to come through. So we're walking, trying to find like another spot where we can like see my cousin run by. So we're walking and one of the runners had like pulled off to the side and was going pee in a bush. And I was like, oh my God. He was like, oh yeah, they don't care. I said, I know, but I feel like I'm invading privacy.
I know. I can't watch
like,
this.
I'm so sorry, sir. I did not mean to invade your bathroom. So we walked a bit of ways and we're looking. We see magically, Hawkeyes see him. He hears us when we call out and we're like, hey. So I'm like, okay, cool, Dad. Where are we going to go next? He's like, well, we might as well start walking towards the finish line. Cool. Pull up in my phone from where we are to the finish line, which is the Marine Corps Memorial thingy near Arlington Cemetery.
Mhm.
We are at Pentagon City Mall.
For people who don't know, how far away is that?
Well, in a car, it's like 2 minutes. Walking, it's an hour. And I said, Dad, this is going to take us an hour. Like, that's long after he's done. No, it's not. Dad, it says it's going to take us an hour. He's like, no, it's not going to take us an hour. We're just going to take 110. And I'm like, okay. This highway is blocked off. So we're walking. We didn't get very far because they don't like it when you're just walking in the middle of the road. So we had to like climb over the barriers.
Oh
which
my God.
is hilarious to see an adult man
Yep.
like climb over these barriers. We keep walking. I'm like, Dad, we still have so long to go. If we are in pace with the runners, they have a mile left, which for us walkers is at least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So no, it won't take that long. At this point, I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a great moment for me to be like, I fucking told you so. So we're following the crowd. It's like the part where it's either you go onto the bridge that gets you into the city, like where the mall is, like the National Mall, or you turn the other way and you go towards Arlington Cemetery. So everyone's going that way.
Yeah.
My aunt calls him. Obviously, my cousin is long finished. So we did not see it.
Oh.
She said that they're in Roslyn. He was like, okay, so we're going to go to Roslyn. I said, are you fucking kidding me? That is so far. That is insanely far from here. And we're going to walk? So we're walking. And he's like, we're getting closer to where there's more and more people because it's near the fucking finish line. And we see the runners going somewhere. He's like, that we need to go down there. And I said, you know what? You have made one too many wrong decisions today. I am not going to believe you. And I'm going to veto that decision because you don't get to make any more. And we're going to keep following the crowd and where the fuck they're going because that makes the most sense. And I was like, why don't we just get on the metro? Well, it's closed. I said, then why are people getting into the elevator? He was like, I don't know. I said, well, that would be really stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
And the metro wouldn't be closed.
I guess Arlington opens at like 8. So it wasn't open earlier in the morning, but it wasn't closed.
Right.
And so people are coming out of the metro station, asks 2 officers, is it open? Bitch, yes. And they're like, yeah, it's open. And he's like, and how do you get to the finish line? And they pointed in the direction that everyone else was fucking walking. I was like, sir, your toxic masculinity is showing. And it's pissed me off because I'm like, I live here. I know what I'm talking about. So I said, Dad, I have my Metro card on my phone. So we should go on the Metro because that's crazy to fucking walk. Just go to the little machine.
Yeah.
But he's already a flustered old man. I had already said, I was like, you can go to Roslyn. I'm going to go back to Pentagon City and get my car, and then I will drive over to Roslyn. But then, because the universe hasn't had, I've walked 3.5 miles at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got out of the metro, I turned right when I turned left, and I walked away from my car, so then I had to backtrack. So I probably walked another like 2 miles. And then we had gone out to dinner, and of course, I was not going to let him hear the end of it. I said, you know how we actually could have seen you run across is if my dad didn't think we could fucking walk. And if we'd gotten there faster, we could have seen it.
There always has to be in a relationship the person who's like, oh, yeah, we can walk. And the other person is like, I think we should figure out public transportation.
And maybe the person who fucking lives in the area should be the one that people listen to. So, needless to say, my cousin did a great job.
Oh, good.
He met the goal that he wanted for his finish time.
I was laughing when you sent me your, like, I walked 3.5 miles today, and I looked at my phone at that day, and I was at 9 miles. And I was like, oh, we're all walking here. I know so many people who ran that.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All mix of all sorts.
I was talking to my coworker today, and his girlfriend is going up to New York to watch the New York Marathon because her cousin's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And her cousin's running it because her cousin's best friend wanted her to run it.
Mm.
So she trained to run this marathon, and I said, I love my best friend. But if she said, hey, let's do a marathon together.
You would so do it because it'd be absolutely insane that I am asking you to do it.
I'd say, I will watch you from the sideline as you run by.
You would do it with me because you would be so flabbergasted and proud.
I don't want to run 26.2 miles.
I would be suggesting we run.
I barely even want to run 3 miles when I do races.
Of all the people that would suggest running together, it would be you.
Thank you.
You are the runner.
Thank you.
So
I was.
That's what I'm saying is that if I decide this, you have to do it because like hell has frozen over. So you have to do it.
I feel like the only way we would be doing this together is if like they say you guys have to run a marathon or the world will actually end.
Yeah.
And that's the only way
and
we'd
I
be
would
like,
still
okay.
ask, well, can I walk?
You can.
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's like a time limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually for like, I think for these big ones, there's like qualifying stuff, isn't there?
It depends how big it is because there are some that are qualifying and some that aren't.
Right. Yes. So all in all, it was great fun.
Oh, good.
And I felt really good to give my dad shit and be like, you, sir, were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you should have listened to me.
Told you so.
Yes. But you know how much I love to be right. So I was willing to let him be wrong.
You're like, I'm in the long game here.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes when I know someone's wrong and they're like, I think we should do this. I'm like, I think that's wrong. They're like, I think we should. Okay, you know what? Let's go do it.
Yeah, let's
do it.
It's great.
Yeah, let's do it and we'll see what happens.
You learn your best lessons. Just doing it yourself. So sometimes it's the best way to get people to learn. Just have them do it themselves.
Yeah.
Fine, sure, we'll do that.
All right, yeah,
Let me know how that turns out for you. This man was limping.
Oh.
And he already bitches about having to get into his car that he panic bought in a midlife crisis. For those of you that don't know, he has a Mustang convertible, 2-seater. He is 6'1". It already is a pain in the ass to get in his car. How the fuck is he going to get into his car without putting the top down?
He just needs to be able to step into it and then he can put the top when he's sitting down.
He sat in with his feet out and then swung around. It was a day.
It was a day.
It was funny.
All right, ready to hear about North Dakota?
Yes, please.
Saddle up and ride through this living memorial to Theodore Roosevelt's conservation efforts. Summer is the best season at Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, I'll say the full name. At Theodore Roosevelt National Park.
Teddy Roosevelt.
But it wouldn't have been official.
Okay.
It's in western North Dakota. Most of the trails that crisscross the land are open for horseback riding, and there's a group campground that can accommodate up to 20 riders and 20 horses. That's kind of cute. Both the north and south units of the national park offer scenic drives as well as hiking trails. The South Unit's Wind Canyon Trail takes you a short distance up a ridge, offering an expansive view of the Little Missouri River and of the area's stunning terrain, with vertiginous slopes and ravines and everything shaped by winds and rivers. Covering more than 70,000 acres in North Dakota's Badlands, the park contains the site where Roosevelt shot his first buffalo. A third section of the park, Elkhorn Ranch, was the site of Roosevelt's home.
He is the president that really got the whole nature conservation ball rolling and why we have national parks.
Good on him.
Mm-hmm.
Experts aren't sure when people arrived in the land that is now North Dakota, but archaeologists have found 10,000-year-old artifacts from hunters in the area. Native American tribes such as the Mandan, Hidatsa, Cheyenne, and Dakota Sioux have lived in the area, and about 30,000 Native Americans from several different tribes still call North Dakota home. The International Peace Garden, which stands at the border between North Dakota and Canada, represents a 1932 pledge by the United States and Canada to never go to war with one another. Aw, that's sweet.
You know, we should make some more peace gardens.
We really should.
Because this one seemed to work.
Yeah, so far. I mean, almost 100 years and we're still going strong.
Ew, don't say that.
I know.
I didn't like that. I did not like that at all.
The Red River Valley in the east is a flat area that was once the floor of an ancient lake. It follows the Red River, which creates the state's wiggly border with Minnesota. The mineral-rich soil here makes it one of the world's most fertile areas, which is packed with farms. Fertile area. The Missouri Plateau is the state's highest region. It includes the Badlands, a Hirschstone valley that wind and water have sculpted into pyramids, domes, and buttes, which are steep, flat-topped hills. The Badlands contain North Dakota's highest point, 3,506-foot White Butte. But North Dakota was once underwater, and it bears the fossils of ancient sea creatures, including swimming reptiles called masosaurs, clams, and other fish. I think Badlands makes it sound so, cool. Like, I live in the Badlands.
Well, it sounds like that stuff from Lion King.
That's what I was thinking! What is that one called?
The Badlands.
Is it called that?
I think so.
We'll look it up.
Okay.
North Dakota contains the world's largest deposit of lignite,
Sure.
a type of soft brown coal. It's been mined since 1873 with enough to last for about another 800 years. The state is also rich in petroleum, oil, and gas. Pembina Gorge is probably one of the top destinations in North Dakota. Its outstanding beauty and awe-inspiring views are unlike anything else you'll find in the upper Midwest. In fact, as of the time of this writing, it's slated to become North Dakota's 14th state park. There are 30 miles of trails, endless kayaking and canoeing opportunities, and so much more.
I don't know when it was written.
It'll be in our show notes so people can look there.
Yep.
Medicine Hole is both a natural wonder and a natural mystery. It is unknown just how deep or far the cave goes once you've squeezed through the narrow hole, but supposedly it leads to a system of underground tunnels and caves that saved a bunch of Sioux from certain death at the hands of colonizers. Despite its status as being close to the public, it's still an incredibly strange natural wonder and worthy of mention. A place I will never go into.
Well, you can't. It's private property.
Good, because that sounds terrifying. I was watching this one video on Facebook. Of course. And it was this guy going into it was called the casket in a cave. It's like a really, really small opening. But in order to get in, you have to go in and twist your body around to get into it.
I don't like that.
So you see his feet twisting as he's going in. Oh, I was like, okay.
No, thank you.
How do you get out? How do you get out?
You wiggle out, I guess.
I don't know. And it makes me uncomfortable.
So we also won't be doing that.
Absolutely not. The 16,000-acre wonder that is Lake Audubon is something out of a postcard or jigsaw puzzle.
We have a Lake Audubon here, but it's not that big.
It's not.
It's much, much, much smaller.
It's clear, blue, and gorgeous, making it a favorite among locals and visitors alike. At its deepest, it's nearly 60 feet down, though the average depth is much shallower at just over 19 feet.
Just 19.
I feel like ours is pretty deep.
Yeah, it's probably about the same.
Yeah. At just
it's just not clear at all.
No, it's not clear. It's not blue.
It's brown.
It's not really gorgeous.
It's brown.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous when you're not in the lake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you can be in the lake. I used to go in the lake all the time.
It is a pretty lake.
Yeah.
They're pretty lakes. They're just not clear and blue.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're safe.
Yeah.
They're just not clear and blue.
Yeah. At just 422 acres in size with 11 miles of landshore, Lake Upsilon is the smallest lake we'll mention here, but it's just as worthy of love and admiration as the others. This lake's unusual name is thanks to its shape. Upsilon is Y in the Greek alphabet, and so this lake has been named. The lake is noted for its extraordinary clarity. It's surrounded by forest and alpine wonder, making it truly unique. You know what's weird? In the past 2 days, I've watched shows where they've said extraordinary. I think I told you, but they pronounce it extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I get it.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong, but it's not right.
Correct. Extraordinary.
Yeah. Extraordinary.
Because extraordinary means to me that you're super ordinary. Extraordinary, though,
is above that.
Correct.
Correct.
Shut up. Ugh, I'm getting to that phase of the hangover where I can feel the alcohol sweating out of my body.
Ugh.
That's North Dakota. What spooky tea you pouring, Lauren?
I'm talking about a state hospital today.
Lovely.
So the San
Sure, it's spooky as fuck.
Actually, it is. So the San Haven Sanatorium or State Hospital is located just 2.5 miles northeast of Dunscythe, Rolette County in North Dakota in the foothills of the Turtle Mountains.
Nice.
The hospital was built to help with the increase in cases of tuberculosis that were starting to pop up all over the country. The hospital opened its doors in November of 1912 to a dozen patients who were suffering from TB. So at the time, tuberculosis was the most serious endemic and one of the biggest health concerns of the 19th and early 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
When it was discovered in 1882, TB killed 1 out of every 7 people living in the U.S. and Europe. It was in 1875 when the U.S. started to build sanitariums to move those who were suffering from TB out of their homes and into a place to help them. The sanatoriums, kind of both kind of things, also worked as a way to get the infected person out of the home as to not infect their family members.
Makes sense.
So thankfully, we know that there is infection. Over the next decade that the hospital was open, the number of patients increased. So it opened in 1912 and it had 12 patients. In 1913, it had 13. In 1920, there were 90. And by
Damn!
Yeah. And by 1922, just 2 years after 90, there were 140.
Shit.
To hold, it holds 12.
Oh, it only holds 12.
Well, that's what it was made for, was to hold 12. And now we're holding 140.
Oh.
So between 1912 to about the 1940s, the sanatorium admitted thousands of tuberculosis patients, treating them as they were able to. Steve Graneski, a retired Minnesota State University Moorhead education professor who studies how North Dakota treated children with tuberculosis, very specific niche thing, said the San Haven Sanitarium was
Can't
one
be
of...
good.
What he does?
Well, if he's studying specifically how they treated children,
right.
I'm I feel like I can't be good. Or maybe, I guess it could be, but I feel like I can't be good.
So he said the sanatorium was one of the only facilities of its kind in the Midwest, beside one in Minneapolis. So he said it was fairly progressive for the Midwest.
Sure.
So he's given it all these good things. One common remedy at the time, so for tuberculosis, why it was this great place to be, I guess, was one of the remedies they did was to surgically collapse a lung. Yeah. And the hospital did perform this procedure, which I feel like is counterintuitive, but I don't know. I didn't look more into that. It was also believed that TB could be cured with some sunshine and fresh air. So that was the main reason why Dunscythe was picked as a location for the hospital. It had a higher altitude, less snowfall, drier atmosphere, and favorable conditions for patients with TB.
That's a favorable condition for me, too.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So in the hospital, patients' beds were pushed up against the wall so that the patient could be in front of the window, getting the sunshine and the fresh air. Even though there were supposed remedies, there was no vaccine for TB at this time, which resulted in roughly 50% of the patients dying from the disease.
Wow.
So it is said that the hospital saw as many as 1,000 patients die. It was rumored that when a patient died, they were buried on the grounds in unmarked graves. Finally, in the 1960s, a vaccine was found. Those who were still suffering stayed at the hospital, but many patients were able to leave and go home. So with the shift in patients, the building was changed to an asylum and started admitting cognitively impaired individuals. The building was renamed to the San Haven State Hospital for the Feeble-Minded.
Interesting.
Oof.
What a name.
I know. Not great. And was soon housing 1,300 patients who were mentally ill or disabled. So at the time...
1,300? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
1,300.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you said 1,300 and not 13.
13. What?
Wait.
What? 1,300. 1,300 patients.
Yes.
At this time, the hospital started to expand, which is wild because it was already huge. So the entire hospital was connected by underground tunnels. These allowed the staff and patients...
Secret tunnel.
So these tunnels allowed staff and patients to travel between the buildings without having to go outside, especially during those freezing cold North Dakota winters.
I thought it was supposed to be, it's not tuberculosis anymore. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, now we're done with tuberculosis. We have the feeble-minded. Hate it. And it was also much easier to transport patients who needed a wheelchair through the tunnels than trying to bring them outside.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The building actually expanded so much that it was given its own zip code.
Wow.
I know.
That's big.
Yes. But all of the needed expansion caused some issues to arise, naturally.
Yeah.
So San Haven was so large that state resources just couldn't cover all of the costs that were needed to maintain a facility, which of course led to alleged understaffing and mistreatment and neglect of patients. Though there is still a group of former employees and some residents who claim that there was never any mistreatment or neglect, which goes against other patients who did claim that there was mistreatment and that they have no happy memories that they can relate to the building.
Wow.
So because all of this happened with in the 60s, the 40s, 60s-ish time is when they transitioned over into an asylum and stuff. So I was reading comments on all these websites of people who were there when it was a TB place and people who were there afterwards. And just people I have not had a single happy memory when I was here. I was here and I have no good memories. So one person, Mary, back when it was for TB, She was taken here when she tested positive using the arm stick method.
Yeah.
So she described her time here as horrific.
I've gotten the amount of TB tests I've gotten in my life.
Well, yeah, because you work with kids.
I know. It's
I've
crazy.
only gotten like a couple because I did work with kids when I was interning in college, and that was about the only, like, the last one I had, which was like 10 plus years ago.
I just got one done.
Oh,
I
good
don't
to
have
know.
it.
Like, thank God. Or we'd all be quarantining in this house. Or you just wouldn't be here at all. Or
I
you'd
was
be in
going
the
to say we would
hospital.
have known by now because I got it done a while ago.
Oh, good.
So,
So Mary was in the women's section, and there was one bathroom for 20 women.
ew.
And in that bathroom, there was one tub,
Ew.
no shower,
Ew.
2 stools, I guess to stand on, I think, and 2 sinks. The patients weren't allowed out of their rooms other than to use the restroom. They were sometimes allowed to go upstairs to the roof to get fresh air and sunshine, as up there was the only place to get that sunshine.
Wow.
She also said that illnesses spread like crazy in here,
I'm
to
sure
include
they
head
did.
lice. And like,
Mm.
I don't know why I thought it was so old, but she was like, oh yeah, we would take the elevator up to the roof. And I was like, the elevator? That's like the 60s or 40s,
Right.
60s
I'm
time.
like, if she's commenting on this.
Right. She also claimed that she and the other patients had to learn how to take their own medicine and monitor their own pulse and blood pressure, as there weren't enough nurses to do so.
Wow.
So I just put a little trigger warning for this one test that they did because it's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
So one test that was conducted on the patients was a test that required an instrument to be inserted into the patient's throat. It would go to the stomach to grab the liquid. And that liquid then be tested to see if there was a bug in it, meaning that you had TB, I assume. No matter how many times this test was performed on Mary, nothing was ever found. So it was soon determined that she was a carrier of TB, but that she didn't actually have it. So she was brought to this place because they thought she had it, and she's here for months and months and months and doesn't have it. It took her mother months and threats of bringing lawyers in for Mary to finally be released back to her family.
Oh, wow. And that's crazy because you'd think they would want to get rid of people.
Which is so scary about places like this where you could go in and you just could never leave.
Right.
In 1980, so these words are from the website and the actual name of the association.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer terms that we use, so I assume the association has been changed. But as of 1980, there was a lawsuit between North Dakota Association for Retarded Citizens and the state of North Dakota, focusing on the awful conditions in Sand Haven. The lawsuit claimed that the facilities were harsh and cold and that there wasn't enough staff to oversee individualized plans for each resident. The lawsuit went on to claim that the program for administering drugs and serving meals was non-existent, which is like...
essential.
Yeah. This ultimately led to the building being shut down in December of 1987 and officially being closed in 1992. At its closing, the building had over 400 patients, though in its heyday, the building housed as many as 900, with its peak of being 1,300 patients. Today, the building and all surrounding areas are owned by the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa people, and it has sat abandoned since. So even all these years later, the atmosphere of Sand Haven has an eeriness to it that radiates off the building. The air is heavy with sorrow and fear. People report that the moment you step onto the property, there's a very sinister feeling in the air, and that feeling that something is wrong only gets more intense as you enter the buildings. Now, the hospital is known as one of the most haunting buildings in North Dakota.
I would expect nothing less.
Of course. Which makes sense with how awful conditions were and how many people died on the property and were never properly put to rest. There are also rumors that horrible experiments were performed on the patients in the basement.
Ew.
So if that is true, then yes, a lot of bad stuff
juju
going on there. Wendy Kimball, co-founder and lead investigator of Paranormal Investigators of North Dakota, says Sand Haven is full of spirits and that around every corner you can sense the energy of someone who had passed at the sanatorium. But now it is said that it's not uncommon to hear children playing at what had once been the children's ward. A baby is also heard crying inside the building.
No, thank you.
People who have snuck in to explore have reported seeing children's toys in the play area moving.
Ew.
And one person reported seeing a ball bouncing.
No, thank you.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
People have also reported hearing the cries and pleas of patients who are being treated for their ailments. There are also phantom footsteps heard. Faces have been spotted looking out of the windows. So apparently, if you go before the sun goes down and you look into the window, you can see a little boy. If you go at night, you can hear the little boy crying. Dark shadows have been spotted wandering around in empty rooms. Sightings of orbs and apparitions are also very common. Wendy Kimball said that on the lower level of the main building, she encountered a tall, slender, and dark presence. She said that it was intimidating. In a smaller building, Kimball encountered the spirit of a young girl who was searching for her mother. But so Kimball apparently...
mommy?
She apparently has experience with spirits and like the other side and stuff. And she said that she was able to connect the young girl and her mother and help them move on.
Wow.
Which is True, very cute.
Yes.
Some people who have visited claim that they were attacked by an unknown spirit and have walked away from the building with injuries. Fully charged phones and newly batteried flashlights. I don't know if that's a word.
Newly batteried?
Uh-huh.
It is now.
Thank you. So they'll completely die or go out while in the building. A group of investigators, Midwest Paranormal Files, out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, went to visit. So they were allowed to be there. So they're like, get permission. They said that their newly changed car battery died and they needed a jump start.
Wow.
Which then immediately reminded me of Blue Ridge, where your car battery died and we needed a jump start.
But it wasn't new.
It was not new at all.
She was warning me that there wasn't much time
Just
left.
of all the times for that to
Well,
happen.
after that, I was like, I'm going home. I'm done. I'm leaving as soon as I get this bitch started again.
The K2 meters that they brought in were also going wild.
What's
So
K2?
It's one of those meters, like a EMF kind of thing. So it picks up like the electromagnetic fields in the area.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just called a K2.
Okay.
At one point, they were able to connect with a young boy using the K2. As their session went on, the team learned that the boy was disabled and had been treated at San Haven when there was an accident involving him to die. The group also caught a few EVPs. In one of them, they were talking to a girl named Nina. People have mentioned that the 5th floor is extremely eerie. The tunnels also seem to have an apparition of a spirit, seemingly stuck in a time lapse, forever moving in the way they did so long ago.
Oh.
So that would be, I think, a habitual spirit where they're doing the same thing that they did before they died. Apparitions of patients are also seen silently walking through the dimly lit tunnels only to completely disappear. Don't like that.
No.
Another creepy story says that there is an old patient who was left there and forgotten about.
What?
The legend goes that he runs around the hospital and stalks people who come to explore, and that he hides from people as he follows them through the hospital.
I don't believe that.
It's probably his ghost.
No, I just don't believe that he was left behind.
Oh, I could see it happening. Things like that happen at those really bad, like, asylums and stuff.
Left behind?
Mhm.
He would have been found. A dead body doesn't smell good.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that part. You can't think that deeply into it.
Well, then you're telling these stories to the wrong person. Because that is literally all I do.
or because it did sit abandoned for a couple years, like a couple years before the people came to take over it. Now it's just kind of abandoned overall. So it could have been in those years. If he died, animals probably could have gotten to him. Hence where the body
feel
went.
like it's really hard to forget something like that.
Like a whole person.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he probably died there. I don't know about being forgotten.
I don't know. It's just a creepy rumor. Ghost Adventures also visited the site in an episode which aired in 2016 called Dakota's Sanatorium of Death.
Jesus.
They portrayed the hospital as a dark and creepy place where, quote, Satan worshippers gather and hold rituals.
Do they really?
No.
No.
Not at this one. Wendy Kimball was like, yeah, there's no worshippers.
This is with that Baggins guy?
Yeah, Zach Baggins. They also recorded an EVP while on the property. I did not watch it because I could not. But since the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa people took ownership of the property, any exploration is considered trespassing.
Okay.
It is also a very dangerous place to explore, so it's probably good that the law is being used to protect it.
Yeah.
On October 13th...
Probably why people have injuries.
Well, could be. Makes a lot of sense. On October 13th, 2001, a 17-year-old boy trespassed onto the property to look for ghosts. While doing so, he slipped at the edge of an elevator shaft where he fell 40 feet or 12 meters to his death.
How the hell wasn't that in any of your stories?
It is. I just said it.
For the elevator thing you talked about.
Oh, I don't know, because I read the other one before I read about this. And then it all clicked.
Uh-huh.
In September 2021, the Roulette County Sheriff's Office blocked off the entrance to San Haven with police tape and announced on Facebook that the property poses an, quote, increasing health and safety risk. Anyone caught at San Haven will be charged with a criminal trespass, which is a Class B misdemeanor.
Wow.
But as always, due to the building not being explored much due to these trespassing warnings, this is all we have on the most haunted building in North Dakota.
I feel like it's got to be the most haunted because not a lot of people can go.
And there's not a lot of buildings in North Dakota.
That too.
Because one of the websites I was reading, they were like, oh, this is the
Bless you.
This is the first time we're getting into a place in North Dakota because it's the only one. And I was like, great, I'm going to find so much about this place.
Yeah, I didn't even attempt to look for haunted shit. I said, I'm not going to do that. It's North Dakota. It'd be easier to find someone being dead.
But they also don't have many people in North Dakota on our favorite Murderpedia.
That's true. That's why I try to find something with like unexpected or
Yeah.
an interesting investigation.
Yeah, I couldn't. So I was just like, we're going to go creepy
That's fair.
and spooky.
Yeah.
And Halloween-y. Because it was before. No. Yeah, I did this research right after Halloween. So still Halloween vibes.
Yeah, your house is still decorated, so it counts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have seen people already decorating for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, this one girl, you know that viral thing where it's like the Dancing with the Stars move where you lift the leg up?
Yeah.
They were doing that and there's a Christmas tree. And I was
Yeah.
like, I love Christmas, but let Halloween, like, let us take our decorations down first.
Let's not forget about November.
Right.
November is a month too.
And I just like, I think I'll put up my winter decorations, but not the Christmas tree yet.
I just turned all my Halloween decorations to be fall because they're double-sided.
Just flip them all.
Yes.
A lot of our decorations can still be used as fall.
Like I had a sign that said Happy Halloween on one side and you flip it over and it's like a happy pumpkin that says Happy Fall.
That's so cute. We have our creepy jack-o'-lanterns that we can just turn and then they become pumpkins.
Exactly.
Which is what we do. The bats will probably have to be taken down. Bats don't really scream fall to me.
No. They're very niche.
It's freaking bats.
Freaking bats.
But yeah, so most haunted place in North Dakota.
Wow. It sounds creepy.
Yeah. I'd not go.
No.
Mm-mm.
No. We can't, so it's okay.
Exactly. So like there's no pressure for us to have to go because
Correct.
we can't.
Not like there ever is because I'm never going to go.
Except when I made you determine if you wanted to go cave diving or go to the country.
Yeah, but that was a hypothetical, so I'm not too worried about that one coming true.
Still my favorite hypothetical.
Insane hypothetical. Absolutely insane.
All right, Mackenzie, what story you got today for North Dakota?
Oh, I forgot. I didn't forget a story. I just need to look at how something is pronounced because it's not Minot. Okay. I'm ready.
It's still recording, so go on whenever you're ready.
Okay. Today we journey into Minot, North Dakota to explore the life and tragic death of Anita Knutson.
Why not in Minot?
What?
I said, why not in Minot?
A case that left the small town reeling and haunted by questions that lingered for years. Anita Knutson was a bright and driven 18-year-old college student full of life and promise. Born in Nevada, she later moved to North Dakota with her family, embracing her new community with warmth and joy. She was adopted by Gordon and Sharon Knutson when she was a baby, and not long after, the couple also adopted Daniel and Anna, making Anita the oldest of the three siblings. I believe they also had their biological children that were like way older.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how many kids altogether that they had, though.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister told True Crime News, quote, "She was the nicest person I had ever known." Anita's dad shared that Anita would always stand up for people who were being mistreated. He recounted a story from when Anita was in high school. A classmate had been sent home for a dress code violation, and it didn't sit right with her. So she scoured through the rule book and felt that the principal was wrong in his decision. She went in the next day and told him that he needed to apologize to the student that he had sent home.
Wow.
Supposedly, the principal said to Anita, "I make the rules around here," to which she replied, "I know you are. You wrote them down." Anita would come to school every day and stick her head into the principal's office asking if he apologized until one day he finally did.
Wow. Everyone needs a friend like Anita.
Right? Anita was known for her kind heart, contagious laughter, and strong dedication to her studies at Minot State University, where she aspired to become a teacher.
Oh.
In 2007, she was 18 years old and living in an apartment with a friend named Nicole. Well, it's now Nicole Rice. I don't know what her name was before. It didn't ever say. It just said Nicole Rice. But on the morning of Monday, June 4th, 2007, the close-knit town of Minot was shattered when Anita's lifeless body was discovered in her apartment.
Oh.
Anita's parents had grown concerned when they couldn't reach her after several calls. Anita's mom told True Crime News that she had last spoken to her daughter on the previous Friday and hadn't heard from her in days. Anita also didn't show up for a shift at her part-time job at a nearby hotel. Anita's dad went to go and check on her and saw that Anita's car was parked out front. When he knocked, he got no answer and the door was locked. So he turned to her landlord for assistance. The window screen to Anita's bedroom window had been found in the yard by the maintenance man and had a big slash through it.
Ugh.
When they walked up to the open window, what they found was heartbreaking. Anita was lying on her bed, face down, in a pool of blood. She was covered with a robe, and when her father touched her, she was cold to the touch, and she knew she was dead. The signs were clear. Someone had taken her life in a brutal act of violence. Detectives on the scene noted that there were no signs of forced entry. Her room, though seemingly lived in, showed no evidence of a struggle.
So they say no sign of forced entry, though the screen was slashed? Okay.
Sorry for that. Just wait.
Okay.
Nothing had been taken, and it was later determined that Anita was not sexually assaulted.
At least that's good.
The window screen that had been cut seemed significant, but left more questions than answers.
Like mine.
Mm-hmm. So supposedly the crime lab said that Anita was killed on Sunday morning, having been stabbed in the chest multiple times with a pocket knife type thing.
Oh, geez.
Police were actually able to find the murder weapon at the foot of Anita's bed. Minot police worked tirelessly in the early days of the investigation, interviewing neighbors, friends, and anyone who might have known Anita. They hoped to uncover any clue that could lead to her killer. They turned first to the people closest to her friends, neighbors, classmates, and especially her roommate, Nicole Rice. One of the most puzzling aspects of Anita's case was the lack of clear motive. Friends described her as friendly and without enemies. She was diligent, always helping others, and seemed to lead an ordinary college life filled with aspirations and friendships. Anita's roommate was among the first to be questioned. The two had shared the apartment for some time, and while they're not known to have overt conflicts, reports suggested that their relationship had been strained at times. Some friends and acquaintances noted subtle tensions between them, which raised eyebrows.
I mean, what roommates don't have subtle tensions every now and then?
True. The police thoroughly questioned Rice about her whereabouts and the nature of her relationship with Anita. Although her responses were scrutinized, there wasn't enough evidence to formally charge her at the time. Detectives also interviewed neighbors in the apartment complex. A few recalled muffled noises during the night of Anita's death, but no one reported anything significant enough to be a breakthrough. Do you want to take a sip of your... No? Okay.
It's still don't be too hot.
Okay. The police expanded their scope to include Anita's social circle, speaking with classmates from Minot State University and coworkers from her part-time job.
Now I'm starting to think, too, with people are like, oh, I didn't hear anything that night. We didn't hear a tree fall outside.
Right? We have a whole new perspective.
Right. So when people are like, how could you not have heard something? It's like, I didn't hear a tree fall outside.
Correct.
Chances are, if something's happening in the house next to me, I'm not going to hear it.
Right. I feel like the sounds and the bangs have to be loud.
Yeah.
For people to hear.
Which then again makes me think of our old place. How loud were they being below us that we could hear those?
Well, and it's also hearing noises when you're in an apartment, townhouse, whatever, comes with the territory.
Right. It's expected.
Right.
I know that if I'm living here and I have someone on outside of me, I'm going to hear noises. It's not going to be silent. But yeah, it's I don't know. And when people are you think oh, I heard stuff that night. It's it's not going to raise eyebrows because it's just
how do you know it's
someone
not,
living next door?
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. How do you know it's not just regular noises unless it's something egregious, that stands out,
right?
So she also the way the pictures looked. It looked like with these apartments that didn't seem like a building. It was all of them were one almost in a ranch style house, but it was apartments.
Interesting.
So the buildings didn't go up.
Right.
So everyone was kind of on the first floor, if that makes sense.
So kind of like a motel looking thing?
Yeah, but it wasn't all connected. It was a complex, an apartment complex. So they had different of these buildings. So I think it would be in one row they were connected. But it was I think they were also, from what it looked like, they were separated because it came out towards the street.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it was they had almost a little alcove where the entrance was. Kind of looked like a front yard.
Okay.
Almost. And then it looked like there was 2 doors.
Okay.
So it looked like there was 2 apartments per one of these buildings.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. It was just from the looks.
A duplex kind of?
Yeah, but if a duplex was 1 level.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, a duplex means 2 houses.
I know. I just usually see them up.
Yeah.
So that's why I said if it had 1 floor. Each conversation seemed to highlight Anita's friendly nature, leaving investigators perplexed at why someone would want to harm her. As weeks passed, the investigation branched out to include potential romantic connections and acquaintances from college parties. The police paid close attention to any individuals who might have been harboring unreciprocated romantic feelings or who may have been jealous of Anita's outgoing personality. However, these leads proved to be dead ends, with alibis and timelines not matching up. One person of interest was a young man Anita had briefly dated in high school who had recently moved into the same complex as Anita.
Interesting.
Anita's father told True Crime News that Tyler, the young man that Anita dated in high school, was way more into Anita than Anita was into him. He also said that he felt Tyler was acting odd and suspicious on the day that Anita was discovered. He claimed that he didn't shed a single tear and that his suspicious behavior led him, her dad, to believe that he could possibly be responsible.
I mean, if my high school boyfriend, something like that happened, I wouldn't shed a tear.
Well, she's also 18. She just got out of high school.
Oh, okay. I still wouldn't shed a tear. But...
Well, no one would shed a tear for him, so.
But like what I'm saying is like, I don't think that's weird that someone doesn't shed a tear.
Same. I also don't think it's weird when people don't cry. Like,
yeah, like I don't cry in front of people.
Right. So I'm just telling you what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I'm just dissecting his words.
Yeah. When Anita's family was being interviewed in 2020 by True Crime News, they all felt that Tyler was a bit obsessive about Anita. He created a Facebook page in her honor and a 20-minute tribute video on YouTube.
See, the Facebook page is nice.
Yeah.
The 20-minute tribute is like, I'd expect you to do a 20-minute tribute for me, like 2 hours actually, but for someone who you just dated, that's interesting.
In fact, I wouldn't even call it necessarily dating. They just went to prom together.
Oh.
Like they were friends.
Yeah.
But they didn't officially date. They just had gone to prom together. Like that was it.
Okay, I gotcha.
So that's also why people are like, and they knew that he was more into her.
Right.
And that she didn't reciprocate those feelings. So I think that's the lens that people are looking at it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Anita's mom said that even after he got married, he didn't stop giving his attention to Anita post-death, but yeah.
Yeah.
But some thought this was possibly just the behavior of someone who cared about Anita and was saddened by the loss of his friend and former classmate.
Yep.
Although he was cooperative during questioning and willingly provided information about his interactions with her, the police found nothing concrete to link him to the crime. Tyler and his brother, who was living with him at the time, also willingly gave DNA samples to police. While those results were never made public, authorities did later claim that they had never made a match to any DNA that had been found at the scene.
Interesting.
It's 2007, so that's a thing.
Right.
The community buzzed with rumors as the authorities continued their work with whispers pointing fingers in multiple directions, none of which yielded the evidence needed to make an arrest. The most compelling detail that investigators had was the cut screen on the window, which suggested the killer may have entered or exited that way.
Yeah.
The window screen had been found in the yard by the maintenance man and shown to Anita's father and the complex manager before they had entered the apartment. The screen belonged to the window that was in Anita's bedroom. Was it staged to throw off police, or had someone genuinely slipped in unnoticed?
And was the window closed when they found her?
No.
It was open.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
Because at least the way the dad described it in some articles was that he touched her through the window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which also is why I'm I think the reason why they thought it might be something that could throw them off is because of the positioning of the window. I think it's right next to her bed. And if you think about crawling into a window, it's not easy. And so it probably would have made a lot of noise. And not that it would have ended differently, but she was clearly murdered in her bed.
Yeah.
So the fact that she just didn't move
as someone was trying sleeping. I don't know.
I feel like you'd wake up if you're hearing someone trying to crawl through your window.
Unless they had a ladder.
But she's on the first floor.
Well, then you wouldn't even need a ladder, so you could kind of get in maybe easily.
As long as there's nothing on the other side.
Yeah. But if it's right by the bed, then it's just the bed's there.
I don't know. I feel like it'd still be noisy. A grown-ass adult trying to get through a window.
I don't know.
Anyway.
We have to test these theories. Crawl through a window, see if we could be quiet.
No, thank you. The maintenance man, Marty Annell, was questioned during police's initial investigation. He had access to the apartments in the complex. He had found the broken window screen, and he was dating the manager at the time of the murder.
Oh.
I don't know if that's relevant, but it was mentioned. Police were unable to find anything conclusive that linked this man to Anita's murder, and sadly, the man died by suicide a year after the murder.
Oh.
Some speculated that it was from guilt of killing Anita. Annell had expressed to a friend that something bad had happened to him, but never went into details. But when detectives dug deeper into his motives, Annell's sister said that her brother was despondent over discovering his longtime girlfriend was cheating on him. Investigators felt that this was a possible explanation that when Annell told a friend about something bad, he may have been talking about his own relationship and not about Anita. A witness told police that they saw a man running away from the area around the time of the murder. When they released a sketch, the person immediately came forward and he was cleared. He was just out jogging like he did every time the same morning. And immediately when they started talking about it, knowing that it happened in the early hours, I was like, it's probably someone running.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, they got a side profile of him. If he's trying to run away, he's not going to let you see his face.
Right.
He's going to have a hood up, something.
Yeah, he's not going to look like he's in jogging clothes.
Right, exactly.
See, that's one of my fears. Wrong place, wrong time.
At least he was cleared.
Right, you were bettering yourself running, and you're now a murder suspect. Like,
true.
oh my God.
Yeah. Forensic analysis was limited by the technology available in 2007, which is crazy to say that it was limited then.
I know.
Fingerprints were found at the scene, but they either couldn't be matched or weren't viable for identification. So they left detectives with a haunting question. How could such a brutal act occur without clear signs pointing to the killer?
Yeah.
Years passed, and Anita's case turned into a cold case, gathering dust and forgotten by all but her loved ones, depending on who you ask. There was a policeman who was interviewed who's like been working her case that
there's always like that one cop who it's like their case, like they have to figure this out.
And he was like, I've never forgotten. Like, he has like a picture up and like in his office. That's what he said. But you know, it's like their perspective versus I do understand when families feel like things aren't being done, and then there are those cases where they are correct,
right?
But I also am like, there's a lot that they don't tell the public.
Oh, a lot, yeah.
You know, and
because I just can't.
Right, and I know that can be frustrating, but it's like I feel like that makes it a slippery slope to say they're not doing anything. They're not investigating as they should.
Right.
There are cases when, yes, you're right, they did not do their job and they completely dropped the ball on it. But I feel like given the amount of interviews and things that they did at the time, to say that they didn't put in their efforts just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Her family held on to hope, advocating for justice and reminding authorities of Anita's story. But without substantial evidence, the case remained unsolved. And sadly, Anita's brother Daniel died by suicide in the subsequent years following Anita's murder. 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. But it wasn't until 2022.
Wow.
15 years after Anita's death that the investigation took a significant turn, one that would finally lead to an arrest. Advancements in forensic technology have come a long way since 2007. Investigators revisited the evidence with fresh eyes, focusing on pieces that could be re-examined with modern methods. The DNA samples collected from the crime scene, which had previously yielded no conclusive results, were reanalyzed using new techniques that allowed for more sensitive and accurate readings.
Do you think that, like, okay, so say they ran the stuff through the system at one year, like 2007 or whatever. Do you think they would ever just, even if technology hadn't gotten better, do you think they would rerun it again? Because now maybe more people are added to the system.
So I think that was also part of it too.
Okay.
It's like running it again because this much time has passed.
Right.
Maybe someone is now in the system.
Okay.
While forensic breakthroughs played a significant role, it wasn't just technology that brought this case back to life. A renewed interest by local authorities, fueled by years of pressure from Anita's family, and true crime advocates pushed detectives to dig deeper into old leads and testimonies. The Tyler guy actually got a petition together to have the police, not necessarily a release of information, but something kind of like that, where like they pretty much had to explain like what they had done.
Oh, wow.
Or getting information about it.
Yeah. Freedom of Information Act.
Something like that. It wasn't quite like that because technically the case is still open.
Right.
But it was something about getting information from police. Like they were able to do that because he got this petition together. Police were able to determine that the cut in the window screen was made after Anita was killed because some of her blood was found on the cut in the screen.
That's so interesting.
Right? Therefore, they knew that this had been done as a diversion to make it seem like that is how the killer got in.
Wow.
Anita's door had been locked, so whoever killed her was able to gain access to the apartment with a key.
Okay, so her front door was locked. Okay.
This time, they looked more closely at inconsistencies in past interviews and scrutinized individuals who had once been on their radar but never formally charged. One of these individuals was Nicole Rice.
I was going to say, roommate.
Anita's roommate at the time of the murder. Although she had been questioned in 2007, her initial alibi and lack of physical evidence led authorities to set their focus elsewhere.
What was her alibi? Do we know?
Rice claimed she was... It's just funny because you always ask it right before I'm going to tell you. Like, it's not like you ask it and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll get to it later. It's like literally the next sentence is going to answer your question.
We're on the same wavelength. How you tell this story, I'm just like, oh, I need to know this answer.
And I'm like, she's going to need to know this answer. So Rice claimed that she was staying with her parents on the other side of town at the time of the murder. However, new forensic testing and re-examination of witness statements revealed discrepancies in her accounts of that weekend. They interviewed her coworker, Donna Bajeland, who said she had heard Nicole bad-mouthing Anita for months.
Oh.
Things escalated after Anita's pet fish were killed. I didn't see anything else more about that. But one video I watched did say it had turned violent, but there was also other ones that said it had never escalated to violence.
Huh.
So,
I'd say killing fish is violent.
But I'm like, what the fuck happened
Yeah.
to kill these fucking fish?
Yeah. A show I watched, they killed her fish by it was in a cup and they dropped it on the floor and then she couldn't get water to it. I almost killed my fish once. I cleaned its tank and I forgot to put the little drops in. Like, you know how when you get like betta fish, you have to put those little drops in?
Yeah.
I forgot. And I looked and I just see it like floating, like straight up and down. I was like, oh no. So I ran, like, did a few drops. It lived. It was fine.
There you
Carried on for a couple more years.
Oh, right. That's pretty good.
I know. But yeah, I felt like a scientist or like a doctor, like saving my little fish with the drops.
It got to the point where Bajeland doesn't, whatever.
That's not how you said it, but that's okay. Donna?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I say before?
I don't remember. But I don't think it was Bajeland because then I think I would have thought of it as Magellan.
Did I say Bajeland?
I have no idea.
Anyway,
Maybe you did say the same thing.
Donna told Nicole, quote, "You two can't live together." After Anita's murder, Donna told investigators Nicole made a provocative comment. Quote, "As long as I keep my mouth shut, I'll be fine."
Oh,
They also,
ma'am.
Right. They also spoke with Willie May, who dated Nicole after Anita's murder. He recalled Nicole being belligerently drunk at one of their house parties when the subject of Anita's slaying came up. She said, "I did it," May told investigators.
What?
He added that she refused to say it again when she was sober, so May left it at that, and the pair eventually split up.
Okay. Maybe I wouldn't have raised any red flags that either. I don't know. Because if she's drunk and she says it and then never says it sober.
Why would you say it sober?
Right. Oh.
I
don't know.
Why the fuck would you admit to that?
I don't know. Because, like, you could think, like, you know, you're just in, like, the moment, so someone's going to say something stupid when they're drunk. I can see both ways. Would you have raised flags about it?
Yeah, it definitely would have been weird.
Would you have, like, reported it anywhere?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Probably not. It would have been weird.
Yeah.
I would have, if someone had asked, I would have told them, but I don't know if I would have gone out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
Not unless, like, I was sure that, like, that meant something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Detectives discovered that some of Nicole's previous statements did not align with other accounts or the timeline pieced together from phone records and witness interviews. At one point, so, like, they had asked her to come in, more recently and, like, to talk about this case, and she willingly came in and they were talking and she downplayed their conflict and all that kind of good stuff. And then as soon as they brought up what this guy had said, she was like, "I'm done talking." They also, while they talked with her, also talked to her parents.
Oh, her alibi.
Yeah, and I guess that's where the discrepancies started to show up, like what she said happened or where she was or whatever. They were not saying the same things.
Mm-hmm.
These inconsistencies paired with enhanced forensic analysis suggested that her connection to the crime was stronger than initially believed. Investigators also re-interviewed individuals who knew both Anita and Nicole, uncovering more about the complex nature of their relationship. While many had described Anita as kind-hearted and well-liked, there were now more detailed testimonies about conflicts between her and Nicole. Tensions, although not violent in nature, depending on who you ask,
right,
painted a picture of a strained relationship that hadn't been fully explored in the original investigation. Anita's mother told True Crime News that Anita didn't feel safe living with Nicole.
Oh.
Nicole would bring guys over to the apartment and then just leave, which would leave Anita alone with these men who she'd never met before.
Oh, yeah.
Anita's mom claims that Anita spoke with her many times about her concerns over her current living situation. Mrs. Knutson said that according to Anita, her roommate would text her threatening remarks. While Mrs. Knutson never actually saw the messages or had specific details, she did say that Anita was afraid of her roommate.
Dang.
With mounting evidence, authorities compiled their findings and presented them to the district attorney, who agreed that there was now enough to move forward with charges. In March 2022, Nicole Rice was arrested and charged with the murder of Anita Knutson.
Dang.
The news of her arrest rippled through Minot, reopening wounds and reigniting hope that justice might finally be served. For years, her name had been whispered, yet the arrest came as both a validation and a surprise to many who had doubted the case would ever be solved. Those who had known Rice in the years since the murder were the most shocked by her arrest. Rice had moved on with her life, marrying and starting a family, seemingly leaving the tragedy behind.
Wow.
During the press conference, the police stated that while the arrest was a significant step, it was only the beginning of what would become an exhaustive legal battle.
And what's wild, too, is for these 15 years, she probably is just like, you know, I'm good. Like, let me move on with my life. I got away with it. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
In the months that followed, as the case made its way through the legal system, the public learned more about the evidence that led to Nicole's arrest. DNA findings that could not have been detected in 2007 were now part of the narrative, implicating her in a way that was impossible to ignore. Testimonies from re-interviewed witnesses also added weight to the prosecution's case, solidifying the picture of a fractured relationship that may have escalated to violence. In conclusion, the legal...
Are you going to tell me what all the evidence was?
That was what I was sharing before, all those testimonies.
Oh, so the testimonies were what?
Yeah, like the stuff with her coworker, with the guy, talking with her parents. Like I did that first.
Oh, okay.
And filled you in there. And then the public found out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The thing with
but then also like the advances in technology, what was that?
It never got specific, but it just kept saying that like forensic evidence. Like they looked back through her text messages. I think there was like phone data with that, the re-interviewing. And then they didn't share specifics of whether or not they've been able to match any DNA.
Okay.
It's just like assumed because the general message is these advances kind of thing. So I know that there's also concern that it's slightly circumstantial. So I don't know like if they've been able to conclusively match anything. I know the whole fingerprint thingy was an issue, but they've had the knife.
Right.
So makes me think that maybe they retested
something
things.
off of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But specifically where it was found or what it was found on, I could not find.
Okay.
So yeah, the testimony from the coworker, like all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
People basically confirming like they did not have a good relationship. Like things were not well. Although her parents tried to spin a different story. Like I think her dad tried to say that like, no, things were fine by then. Right. But I don't know. So the legal process began with a series of pretrial hearings in which both the prosecution and defense laid the groundwork for their cases. Prosecutors presented the new forensic evidence that had been pivotal in securing Rice's arrest. This included the re-examined DNA samples and inconsistencies in Rice's past testimonies. Witnesses who had known both Anita and Nicole were prepared to testify about their relationship and any potential conflicts. The defense, on the other hand, pushed back on the reliability of the forensic evidence and questioned the timeline of the investigation. They argued that the years that had passed since the murder posed challenges in witness recollections and raised doubts about the accuracy of the new findings. Nicole Rice maintained her innocence, and her legal team worked to cast doubt on the prosecution's narrative, emphasizing that much of the evidence was circumstantial. As the trial progressed, the community of Minot watched closely, torn between relief that the progress had been made and uncertainty over what the outcome would be. The prosecution faced the challenge of proving that the DNA evidence and the witness testimonies were enough to secure a conviction. They needed to convince the jury that despite the passage of time, the new findings created a clear connection between Rice and the crime. Meanwhile, the court proceedings brought renewed media attention to Anita's case, drawing coverage from the true crime enthusiasts and national outlets alike. The public learned more about the painstaking work that had gone into reanalyzing the evidence, from lab technicians who used cutting-edge techniques to forensic experts who could explain how DNA samples once overlooked had become pivotal. As of today, the trial remains ongoing.
Oh, wow.
Legal analysts have noted that while the prosecution has made compelling arguments, the defense strategy of highlighting the time lapse and raising doubts about the handling of evidence has kept the case from being straightforward. The trial date was supposed to start in June of this past year, and now has been moved to January of 2025.
Oh, wow.
And to a different county to ensure an impartial jury. She's also out on bail currently. So she hasn't been in jail this whole time. She's out on bail.
Which, I don't know. It's like when you have, like, for a murder, I don't think you should be able to be out on bail.
They probably pulled the whole, she's a mom.
Probably.
For Anita's family, the court proceedings bring mixed emotions. Each step forward is a reminder of the tragedy that they endured, but is also a step closer to seeking justice for Anita. Supporters who have stood by the family for over 15 years continue to attend hearings and share Anita's story, ensuring that she is remembered not just for how she died, but the vibrant person that she was. So we'll update you January 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then she's not free, but she's out on bail.
But she's like kind of free.
She's kind of free. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be out on bail. But then also I think at the same time, what if it's like a wrong conviction? Then I wouldn't want the innocent person to be in jail.
Like, I have mixed emotions about it because I'm like, you can definitely see where it might be the roommate, especially given the access thing.
Right.
I don't know. But I'm also like, just because you have beef with someone doesn't mean you kill them.
Right.
You know, like like I said, it depends on who you ask. Some people talk about that it was really bad. Some people say it wasn't that bad.
But then we'll never actually know.
Right. Are they downplaying it? You know, I don't know if these supposed text messages were ever found. They might have been.
Which ones?
The ones between Anita and Nicole, when Nicole supposedly was like threatening her. The defense also said something about like another person that was known for like breaking and entering in the area at the time.
Oh.
But given the fact that they found her blood on the window, suggesting the screen was cut afterwards.
Right.
It makes it hard to think that it was just some random person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely got to be someone she knows. And they had to have been able to get it in because even if she had let them in,
right,
they still need to lock the door.
I wonder, though, was the door like a deadbolt door?
I don't know.
Because we've lived in places where you can lock the door and then close the door.
Right. I was thinking about that too. Like if it was just like the door handle or whatever. I don't know though.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming if they're saying that like you had to have a key, I'm assuming that means deadbolt.
Yeah.
Usually front doors have both. So.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So it seems like they probably have it.
For a second, I was about to ask what state this was in. And then I remembered what we were covering.
I think it's in North Dakota.
Well, because I was like, they're probably going to be calling a jury soon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was supposed to start in June or July. And then it got moved to January.
Why?
It didn't say.
Interesting.
I
Things get pushed all the time too, though.
Yeah. I think it was like they are doing it in a different county that's like
impartial.
Yeah. So I don't know if like that causes things to be pushed back. I think something said it was something about like time for both defense and prosecution to get there. I don't know if both are asking for this extension in terms of getting all their stuff together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
It was a very short article. It just said that it got moved to a new county, and it didn't even say the date specifically, I don't think. It just said January.
Oh.
And since the article was in June 2024, even though it didn't say January 2025, I'm assuming since that would
good reasoning,
the next January coming up. But I could be wrong.
Well, nice job. Nicely done.
Yeah, ChatGPT helped me with this one.
Gotta love it.
So, when you're hungover.
Ooh, there's a good movie you should watch. It's not scary. Well, kind of is. It's called The Woman of the Hour. So it was based on an actual serial killer. So do you know Rodney Alcala?
Yes.
The
dating game?
Yeah. So it's about the woman who matched with him on the dating game.
Oh.
So it's like kind of.
Perspective?
Kind of.
Okay.
So she's the woman of the hour.
Ah.
Yeah, and it's played by Anna Kendrick.
Oh, nice.
It was actually really good.
Okay.
And I knew immediately, when it was a dating show, I was like, this is Rodney Alcala.
Right. I remember seeing commercials or whatever for it, and I was like, is this the date?
Roy, we have 3 minutes.
He said, but I am excited right now.
He just went to the bathroom. He's excited.
He's like, I know I'm about to get dinner if I keep nudging my bowl.
But yeah, it was really good. It wasn't too creepy because you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really good. I would recommend it.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that's all we have.
That is all we have.
So stay scary.
And stay safe.